Okay, we are back with Crossing the Access, the biz side of video production. And it's an exciting day in many ways for us here at Crossing the Access. One of the ways, first, just getting out some new news about Pipeline. We have just announced that our budgeting module is 100% free. You can go to videopipeline.io and get your very fancy, very cool cloud-based budgeting software 100% for free to get you started. Add it to your stack of other free apps that you use and use ours to manage your budgets. You won't regret it. You are welcome. We want to do this because we believe so much in the power of great budgeting to get you to the next step in the work that you're doing and make you profitable so that you can make that next step. Okay. Enough from our sponsors. Now we are heading to the meat of the show. And this, I'm sure, is going to be one of the most anticipated shows that we've done because we are very, very lucky to have Mr. Alan Ney of World Famous with us here today. World Famous, of course, a Seattle staple in the video and video agency and now agency world in the Pacific Northwest. They have worked and do work for companies like Wendy's, T-Mobile, Microsoft, Nike, Google, Disney, Amazon. Basically, if it's a company that has any sort of taste whatsoever, you can find World Famous doing work with them. And so now I'm lucky enough to have Alan, who's the CEO of World Famous, has been with it from the start, was one of the founding partners of World Famous, with us today. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And one of the things that's always so interesting to me is just to get a little background on yourself and find out, how you wound your way into video production, because it's sort of an interesting path.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was young, I started making mashup kind of things, like homemade remix things at home in the 80s, and I wanted to be a music engineer, remix artist or something like that.
Okay.
So I went to college and I studied audio engineering for a summer and then did an internship at a recording studio in Chicago the next summer and realized the music business wasn't the way to go. But I loved editing, so I focused on video editing, and that's what I did in college. And then, worked for free for little money to get some experience, and then got going and then had a great commercial editing career until I started my own shop. Well, then I continued to have a great editing career. And then, eventually World Famous kept growing, and I had to step out of the edit chair and into the who's going to run this thing chair.
Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. Now, you were in college in Ohio, right?
That's right. Yes.
And were you a Midwesterner to begin with?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder you and I get along so well. I am too. I grew up in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
What brought you out to the Pacific Northwest?
Well, I knew I wasn't going to stay in Cleveland, Ohio.
Tell me about it. And well, you didn't have any sports teams back then, but now it'd be a little harder to leave now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I came out to visit. My sister lived out here for a little bit, and I came out to visit her when I was in college, and saw the mountains for the first time, and just the dynamic natural beauty. And Seattle back then was like a really big liberal arts college campus or something. And just the music scene and everything was just hopping. So I came out here.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting too, that you came from sort of a music into editing. That actually is more common the more I meet with people than a lot would guess. Like, truly making music videos, there's not much of a market for that, but certainly the number of people that get started with music and then music into editing and then editing into full-blown production. No one understands, everyone agrees, no one understands production better than the editor. The editor is such a great place to start. For anyone out there getting started, editing is just a fantastic place because you see all the problems and you get just an absolute unique viewpoint it's a great way to go if you're even thinking long-term director, producer, that thing. No one understands the whole process better than the editor, and it's a great place to get in. So that's pretty cool. And then you came in and World Famous kind of gets going. And what was the angle that World Famous initially was taking? What was your raison d'etre?
Well, I wanted to create a creative shop that made money, yep. and then we took some of the money to make art and make
yep.
music videos for our friends' bands, and we wanted to,
yep.
Out of all
because those make no money, but yeah.
Yeah, and commercials, out of all the ways you could make money with video production, it's one of the better ways, like dollar per hour, per frame. It's it's versus independent film or so I got started at a place called Digital Kitchen, and it was it was at the very, 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 very beginning of kind of the desktop video revolution, where you could first start doing video editing and graphics and animation on a Macintosh. That was new, in the early 90s. So they were way in front of that. And I was lucky enough to.
What kind of footage were you cutting generally? I mean, in terms of format?
Oh, most of it was stuff that was shot in 16 millimeter film.
Transferred.
Yeah. But that was a great learning experience, because there was designers. It started out of an advertising agency, so there was conceptual thinkers and writers, and but then we were doing production, and I was the only editor. So that's really I learned a lot. So I kind of wanted to recreate some of that vibe, where it's like, it's not just editing, it's not post-production, it's not a production company, it's just a creative place that can do all that stuff. So we did mostly editing at the beginning, because those are my clients. I was a freelance editing, and so when I started my own place, finally, of course, we were doing lots of editing, but then slowly got opportunities to do more design and motion graphics, and then production, and then just kind of kept growing until we were like a soup to nuts production company.
And you were on Avid initially, I imagine, right?
Yes.
Yep, everybody. And then you made a switch over to Final Cut, maybe?
I never did. I stuck with Avid as long as I could, and then I got out of it. Yeah, man. There's still, I can edit in Premiere now. I do very little editing anymore these days.
Yeah.
It's, you can do a lot. It's still not. I can tell it's not built by editors for editors the way Avid was, but now I'll just sound like an old guy talking about the old days.
No. I think, today, of course, it's the question of really Avid is no longer, I don't really hear anybody talking about that anymore, but you really hear it's Premiere, Final Cut, or Resolve, who's offering a pretty sweet free package, as well as an insane color setup. Yeah, it's I never edited on Avid. I came in just a little later into the Final Cut world, and then switched over to Premiere when Final Cut made its big switch to the Final Cut 10. So,
well, you were talking about like the people coming into editing for music, and with the Avid, I hardly ever touched the mouse. There was no dragging or dropping. a little bit. It was so tactile, and I'm a drummer too, and so it was just really easy to kind of just pound on the keyboard and get things.
But it took big money to have an Avid. It took big money to have. What was your Avid setup? What do you think it ran? Like, 50 grand?
Oh no, the very first one I remember. Yeah, we had. It came with. We opted for the 36 gigabytes. It was 4 9-gigabyte drives. In a
I think I have it on my keychain now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was like 120 grand with everything. Yeah.
The moats were huge, right? I call them the moats, the thing that a production company had to protect itself from its competitors, or from the guy that just woke up one morning and said, I think I'm going to go into video production.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Well, ironically, it was, $120,000 for a nonlinear editing system that could compete with the big post-production companies that, there it's like minimum, 500,000, like those
$500,000. Yeah.
Way back then, there was a huge barrier to entry there, but so it's 120, that's still a ton of money, but it was it was more accessible for more people. And then of course now you buy a computer.
$29, get your Premier monthly subscription, or Resolve just free. Heck,
yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's how the industry is always changing. And so this is where you are changing. You have decided, and this is kind of where we're going with today's topic is, World Famous a while back said, hey, we actually want to become more of a full service agency. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that is something that I have heard many, many production companies say, I am either want or am going to do this. And I can tell you from running my company, Handcrank, for 15 years, I think around year 10 or 11, we really said we were going to do it, and we never pulled it off. We never were able to make the switch. We made some inroads, we managed some online presences, but full service agency, no, we never quite made it. So I'm really curious to hear and talk to you about this topic, because of course people want to grow, they want to expand, they want to take over more of their creative, and this feels like a natural way, but it's not an easy way.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know quite what I was biting off. I mean, we had talked about it. I had talked about it for a while. And part of that was, most of our clients were agencies for a long time. We did probably, 75% of our work was for advertising agencies, 25% was for clients directly. And then over time that started to kind of shift, client brands got more comfortable just going straight to vendors, and of course the agencies were slowly starting to build up their own in-house production capabilities.
Right.
But there is a lot to learn. It seems it's still a creative organization, and it seems like it's not that big of a shift, but there is a fundamental shift in the thinking. But the reason was, we'd work with agencies a lot, and I just saw great ideas not get executed well, or agencies like not knowing how to talk to their client about why the edit is like this, or why, and being able to really walk them through the process and just kind of not manage their clients really well. So just kind of being ignorant enough, I was like, God, if these guys could be an agency, we can be an agency,
Right.
And we want, our whole thing is we want to make great work. It's one of the best gifts in the universe to be able to be paid to be creative. You could pay your rent and you get to use that part of your brain. It's a gift. So being able to do some strategic thinking and some concepting and creative development, it gives us a better chance of being able to do work that is, that's great, culturally relevant, and that people, remember. And you just want to do work you're proud of, ideally, at the end of the day,
Yeah. Once you get the skills down, or better yet, once you wind up working with some people that are so talented at the craft, right? The craft, whether it's the craft of being the DP, whatever, anyone's the makeup artist, heck, whoever the great people are that we get to work with. Once you're got that team together, you do want to push where you're taking them. And did you feel at all hamstrung did you feel like one of the things you were looking for, and I'm sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, but was one of the things you're looking for a little more creative control over the process?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. It just allows more, there's less fingers in the pot, and there's more ability to get the purity of the creative from the beginning that you're looking for, all the way through to the end. So how go ahead.
Oh, and that, that's can't, understate the importance of that. Like, you can have amazing execution and, great production, but if it's a crap idea, then you just have a really good looking crap idea,
Right.
So the core of the idea being smart and relatable, or, just kind of being able to hit those emotional buttons, or tell the human truth that's going to connect people, that's got to be spot on. And then you get to put that story together, and what's best for the project.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, and agencies are different, right? There are some agencies that really know production really well, and that working with them is a dream, and it only lifts and lifts and lifts.
Yes.
And that does happen 10% of the time. But then a lot of the other time you get the brief and you get the budget and you say, these two things are not, these are mutually exclusive. It's just, I see where you're going with that, guys, but for this money that I don't see how we can achieve that. Whereas if that agency is not in the middle, or you are the agency, so to speak, then it's you don't kind of have that initial disconnect, and you're not constantly taking things away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess there are a lot of great agencies. I don't want to poo-poo the entire industry.
Not at all.
There's a lot of great ones, and then there's a lot of mediocre ones just by definition. Yep. I worked in LA as an editor for a while, and I was amazed at how many great projects that were floating around, compared to Seattle, which is a B market. And Seattle used to have a much more vibrant creative agency scene. And it's kind of flat. It's been kind of flat for a while now. And that was another reason that we really, wanted to make the shift. It was like, there's a need here. Like there's a real opportunity, because there's not, no offense to all my agency friends in the area, but like, there's not a lot of amazing.
Well, doesn't it? I mean, you look at when Wexley split, they're basically final words. Well, look, everyone's gone project based. We want to be bigger than that. We want to be bigger than on demand, project based. And how do you feel like what you're doing fits in and fills some of that void? Because here you had one of the great, creative agencies just having some pretty solid reasons for saying we're out.
Yes. Yeah. And what's a few agencies have gone away, small independent agencies, and stated this more project-based environment as one of the reasons, like Graph, they folded, and that was one of the reasons that they said. And but yet, luckily we've always been project-based, as a vendor. So I'm really familiar with the dance of not, getting too big and keeping your overhead low, but and being able to be scalable, and how important the talent is, and relationships with talent, and being able to put great teams together, but not, I mean, how it is. You either have too many people or not enough any day of the year.
Yeah. You mean too many staff or too many clients?
Yes, too many staff.
Well, you guys keep it low, though. At least according to your masthead, it's really just 4 of you, and then you sub out the rest. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it looks like?
I mean, that's what it looks like.
That's a good. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, there's 4 of us. That's the leadership team. There's 15 employees at World Famous currently.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't.
No, that's good to know. I mean, I've seen the website 9 million times, and so
the website's a beautiful thing. People, if you haven't seen the website, go to it. It is gorgeous. And Alan, is it just worldfamous.com? I can't remember the exact URL.
World Famous Inc.
Worldfamousinc.com. There we go. And it's a gorgeous thing. So I always, just a quick reminder to everyone, your website is just a little bit important in this business. So spend the money on it, make it look beautiful. And here's a great one for you to take a look at and see how it can be done very well, and using a lot of the latest overlays and technology and stuff like that. They do a very, very beautiful job. But back to
thanks for saying that. And just real quick, a shout out to Gigantic, who is the company the agency that helped us with the website. They're amazing. Tim and the crew over there are awesome. So thank you to them.
So back to the team. So you got 15. Okay. And their salary, they're W-2'd.
Yes.
Yep. Wow. That's big these days. That's a big group to carry. And there are people now working from home, or are they back in the shop now?
I've kind of let people do what's going to create the best work, so whatever works for you. So I recently hired a creative director, design director in Denver. I hired an art director in Portland, and they're not moving to Seattle. I've got a writer in Minneapolis. But so the office is open. I'm in here most of the time, and then some people come in 1 or 2 days a week. And so when we're making stuff, right, like trying to edit over Zoom is stupid. So when we're in when we're deep collaboration or making stuff, we tend to get together, or when
get
people
together
just,
physically.
yeah.
It's so much, I hate to say it's so much more fun that way, right? Like you sit
Oh
there at
yeah.
the edit with a beer and you work through it together. It's an emotional thing. You argue. I mean, it's why I got into the business. I got into it to be around other people,
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, that's really cool that you have a big team. There's so many benefits. We did a whole show on it with one of my favorite companies out on the East Coast and talking about all the benefits of having an in-house Tiger team as opposed to there's benefits and pros and cons to both, but that's pretty cool. Now on your team now though, what percentage are video production folks versus agency folks?
It's let's see, it's probably 25% production, 75% agency, maybe
Oh,
20.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
mostly agency people. I still have some post-production,
Right.
folks.
And what are those agency, what are their roles?
uh executive creative director,
Yep.
writers, art director, designer, producer, project manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always noticed that the agencies we worked with had like a lot of producers. Like there were just there's a lot more hand holding, right? I mean, there's just no way around that. I mean, obviously, I imagine one of the major things that World Famous is able to do is probably trim a little bit of the, when you're able to consolidate, hopefully you're able to trim and be a little more efficient, I imagine. But nevertheless, there is just this client handholding and client management that a production company can kind of get out of.
Yeah, that's been a huge learning
Okay.
lesson,
Okay.
because I thought the same thing. Being in the edit room working with agencies, is like, oh, they get the client talks to the account director, and the account director
So
has
you
the
got to get a
account director.
coffee once and again for the guy. What the hell?
Well, just the telephone game. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
it'd go through 6 people before the people in the edit room, the writer and art director I'm working with, get to do something about the client's feedback, who's been passed down through 5 other people or something. And like, there's got to be a more efficient, better way to do that. And we are way more collaborative, and oftentimes kind of like an in-house team for a client, because that's another thing is most brands have some degree of in-house capabilities for agency type functions.
Yeah.
So we work really closely with them, but I have learned a lot. I mean, there are times with the project-based work, a lot of times the producer and the project manager can kind of handle that kind of client hand-holding, account executive role. But for longer term projects or agency of record, we're agency of record for one client, where you're planning the year out. And there's a lot more interacting with the media and strategy. And there is like, you need one person that kind of accountable for all that stuff, and to lead, and to, that the client can call. So
Right.
yeah, I thought, I mean, honestly, at the beginning, it's like, no account people. We're not going to have account, but you don't need them. And then now, like, I think you do need them sometimes, not all the time. And you certainly don't need armies of them and layers of them.
And that's what I've seen sometimes, and it just terrifies me. But now, when you on the website, one of the ways that you present your case is that you are basically, I've got the words here. You've got this flex model that there's not a one size fits all, that you're incredibly flexible. Would you say that is that another way of saying, hey, we're not afraid of the project based universe that we know we increasingly live in?
Yes. And again, most brands have some in-house capabilities. And so sometimes they've done all the homework, all the research and strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and then they need help from that point on. Or sometimes they've even done more than that. They've got some half-baked scripts that they know aren't right, but they don't know how to make, it's got to be a 30-second film, and this isn't right. And we've gone in and taken their, work it's well underway, and figured out how to make it into a 30-second commercial. It's going to work. And then sometimes they just like, we need help with everything. And then we're able to scale up for that, or bring in other partners. We don't do, we're not a media agency at all. So we have partners,
You don't buy.
No, there's a place in New York that we use that are great, and they do data analytics and all that stuff.
Right.
And then locally we work with a partner, so
Yep.
being able to, the flex thing is like being able to put the right team together that's going to, produce the best results for
That's
this.
That's a good idea. I feel like from my experience to stay out of the media buying, it's just that's where we got lost. I feel like, and when we were trying it was beyond us. I don't think we were getting good prices because we weren't buying in big enough volume often for our customers.
Well, and that's kind of like, we're really, really, really good at building brands with storytelling and, and brand storytelling. We're not really good at data analytics, and I don't really want to be, but there's places that are, or media or customer journey. So we've been forging relationships with places like that. So like, you're the, best in class at that. We're going to do that. And then we could partner versus, we say we got the capability. We can do all that stuff. Like, let's just put together the people that are the best at that and put something together.
And would you say that your projects now, you say you've been kind of doing this for now going on 4 years. Would you say that they still generally, when you go to the team, are you guys kind of starting with video in mind, or is it, no, we're just looking at all the different avenues, digital, social, everything, and video may or may not play a part in that? Or is it kind of like, video is cool. Video is amazing because video lends itself well to being broken down into the other media categories very nicely. You can do print from it. You can do, all these different things. But is that where you start, or do you start at a different level?
Well, we haven't really been an agency for 4 years. I feel like now we're an agency with the team.
Okay.
We started the process.
You're just now getting started. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know 4 years ago. And we were, but most of the, people know us as a great, video production place. This we're since 2005. So in the beginning, most of the projects, of course, were heavy video, so that did make sense. And that was our sweet spot. So, but now as we've kind of turned the corner more, and it's just whatever is best, for the strategy, and who are we talking to, and what's going to move them, to take action, and that's, the media part, and figuring out, who you're talking to and where is the best place. And I could see one day having some media, just because of that, the collaboration of figuring out, because to do stuff that's not just cookie cutter, we want to do stuff that's
So is it starting to make good business sense? I mean, I always remember looking at the agencies and saying, geez, their margins are way better than mine. And I remember at one point I was going to be acquired by an agency, and when they saw my margins, they weren't interested anymore. And so has it started to, have you been able to, and obviously the creative flex, that if suddenly I think it's more easy for everyone to understand paying well for agency creative than production creative. It just, sadly, that is the truth of the matter. It seems to be. So has it started to pay off in that regard?
Yes. I mean, it's funny because I feel like the agency world, I mean, everybody's complaining about how budgets are lower, and the agency world is kind of where the production company world was, however many years ago, where it's like the budgets just kept coming down, expectations did not change, and there's no shortage of people they'll do the project at a loss, even because they want it for the portfolio. And now especially in the independent creative agency land, it's the same thing. People want stuff for their portfolio. So maybe they're not going to make any money with that brand on that project, but they'll do it. And so there is a lot of pressure there, but once, great work gets you more great work, and great clients recommend you to other great clients. And so it just takes a while. It took us a while with World Famous, and then, to build up those relationships and that trust. And then when it was really going, it's word of mouth, and we just kept showing up doing as good of a job as we can. And people would recommend us. Now we're in this agency category. We haven't been doing it that long. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's starting to happen. I mean, I can already see, just more incoming calls, stuff like that.
Is one of the things we talked about in our pre-call, Alan, was how frustrating it would be as a production company to pretty much give away the creative on a project and then create something gorgeous deliver it to the client's front door only to see it wither and die with a horrible media buy or just bad sort of surrounding collateral material, and it never got lift off. And we talked about that, and you agreed that that's a bummer when that happens. It happened all too often. Are you starting to get the benefit of that not happening? Because I imagine your media team and everybody's doing a great job of getting this stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it seems like there's never enough money. I mean, it is like,
Yeah.
Sometimes the clients, they do these giant media buys, but then they only want to spend this much in the creative. It's like, well, why would you put out something? You know what I mean? You're going to put it in front of everybody. Why not have it be? But then, yeah, same deal. You could make a gorgeous piece, and then they got a rinky-dink media buy, and it's like, oh, cool. Nobody saw it.
Is there a percentage that you like? I mean, I used to have one, but do you have one that you like? Say, hey, man, if you're going to spend, $1 million on the media buy, then you got to spend at least $100,000 on your ad. Maybe
I don't have. Yeah. I mean, I know the rule of thumb I think is like 5 to 1, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. I like that one even more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if the media budget was $1 million, ideally they'd be spending 200 on the production, and
right.
But yeah, no, it really is case by case.
It's not that, yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, but you are starting to feel more that ownership of. I mean, it's got to feel good, right? I mean, when the thing is taken off and people are recognizing it, the client's getting more business, or the whatever the case is that you presented to the world is getting listened to, and people are moving to action.
Yes,
based on your work, that has to feel pretty good.
It does. No, it's great. It's super cool, and that is, when all that happens, where you're able to pay your rent, you're proud of the work you've made, it's helping your client's business, and people are, they're motivated to take action or be moved. And that is super fulfilling. Absolutely.
And thing that, go ahead.
And I, being able to sustain a creative organization and pay people, find talent and pay them to be creative and use the creative part of the brain. And I love that too, because it's been so important to me and life-changing. So,
and how do you keep that fresh around the office? How do you keep the creative juices flowing and keeping it from being, here we're doing a project type 7 again?
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, it's still kind of the Wild West for us. We're still, it's still really fun, and everything is new. And we've got, now we've got a lot of agency people here that have great agency experience, but they want to do something different. They didn't want to work at yet another agency with all the woes and everything that don't work there. And a lot of that, it was just, the process, and so it's like, there's not one way to do, every client's different, every project's different. There's not one formula that's going to work for everything. So,
and you, World Famous for a while was pretty big, correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty big with the motion graphic stuff, but that has sort of eased back a little bit. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the industry,
and is that because live action is getting more popular again, or?
I think so. I mean, I think just stylistically, when the motion graphics thing was newer, it was growing really quickly, and everybody wanted it, and so there was more and more of it. And people were studying it, and I mean, in the early days in the 90s, it was very hard to find somebody that knew After Effects, and then now there's a ton of people that are super talented, but then there's not quite as much of a demand, and yeah. And people, are farming out to, Vietnam or Chile, and are able to, make the explainer videos for pennies, and so it's a different market. So,
what are some of the, when you look, what do you like out there that you're like, geez, I'd love for us to produce stuff like that. I would love, are there any, or agencies of yore or agencies of today that you look at and say, man, that those guys, I don't know. I always think it's good for folks to have their eye on somebody else. Where are you looking?
Well, I'm inspired by, there's a shop in England called Lucky Generals. And man, they just consistently do great work. It's so smart and so good. And I'm impressed by those guys and admire them. There's a place, Mojo Supermarket in New York. They've got a super cool website. They just consistently do great work, and it's just smart. There's something intelligent about all the work, and a lot, and or fun or entertaining, but it's all very good. And yeah, I like those guys. And Mischief, of course, but they're like agency of the year now, and everybody likes Mischief, but
Right.
they're fun to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty scary how fast it happens, right? Like we were talking about Mechanism on our call, and Mechanism started out as a production company and then turned into an agency, and now I mean they're like an Uber agency, right? Like they're in like 5 different cities with huge staffs, and it's really all about an agency all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to be on my list, and then now, yeah, I think they've matured. I mean, they're great, but it was fun to watch them because they were doing what I wanted to do, where they went from production company and they did it really well, and they've done a lot of great work, and yeah, they've done it successfully.
I remember asking them at a get together at NAB or something like that, why did you guys make the switch to the agency? And they said, we didn't really have a choice. The agencies just weren't going where we wanted to go. And I wondered, one question, I was talking to a friend of mine who owns a production company, and I was telling him I was meeting with you, and he was really excited to listen in on this podcast because, of course, it is sort of a bit of a dream for a lot of folks to make this jump. But he said, already right now we work for a lot of agencies. How would I manage that? And how did World Famous, or how does World Famous, how do you manage that transition? Hey, guess what? We're competing for the same thing that you're bidding on right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty organic. I mean, like I said, in the early days, we worked mostly with agencies, a little bit with brands. And then just over time, it shifted. We're doing more and more work with brands. They were seeing the benefit and asking, they were asking more of us. They were asking for more concept and creative development. And so we weren't really getting paid for it. Like we were kind of doing it to get the production. And then, so we were already doing it. And then we just made the decision to change the model. We're going to, the thing of value is the idea, and then, and then we just had to bite the bullet, and the agencies quit calling. Of course, at the same time, every single agency in town at least has a video guy. They have some amount.
Yeah. Right. But you did, I mean, you're not working with those agencies anymore, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a reality. Like if you think you're going to be partnering and stuff, that might not happen that way. It might happen for a little bit. But how would you define the state of our industry right now? And from your perspective, I'm not asking for the crystal ball, but just from your perspective, obviously we're coming out of COVID, I think. And I think that's going to be great. They say that there's a lot of money in the wings with folks from stock market and property gains and stuff that are just dying to get out there and spend money on things, which means videos and campaigns have to be made. How do you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I'm super optimistic. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. After a dire time, there's usually a boom, we've kind of seen the beginnings of that until this year, but I still think there's a lot of, there's a lot of money that's going to be floating around for the next few years, and people, building their brands, and, and the video consumption just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Right.
So there's not, there's no shortage of, a need for video, for sure. I mean, and as things change, a lot of it is we need, 600 pieces of social content for, and people that can do that really well, they can pave their way. It is, how do you do that at the budget that, is being offered, and have it be good? And because the thing, a lot of times it's volume is more important than the craft, or the frequency. And people that can figure that out and make great work at scale like that, and have whatever templatized stuff, or just is, and it's just a different form of puzzle creative thinking,
But it's a form of puzzle that fits what you're doing quite well, and probably inform that decision quite a bit. In other words, you mentioned a moment ago that it's the idea that's king, and that has only been elevated so much more as the dissemination of that idea goes through so many different formats, so many different places, that, it's like they used to say when I was, I at one point wanted to make feature films, made one, and it went absolutely nowhere. But I remember it was always like, what's going to be on the poster, kid? What's going to be on the poster? And you had to get it down to that elevator pitch. And more than ever, your idea, even if you make a 5-minute movie from it for the client, because that's what we all love to do. It's a really big dream, of course, all the time. But when you have to turn it into a 5-second, social stinger, it has to carry the same energy, right? And that's an agency thing to do, right? That's what you really have to do now.
Yes. And ideally, you're thinking about all that stuff at the same time. The 5-minute film is a different venue than the 5-second sting or whatever. And then all the social channels have their own, if you're making a YouTube video, that's different than,
have their own sizes. I mean, their own widths and heights and
and the intent and the reason people go to YouTube is different than TikTok or and so
it's a lot, but it seems like being in an agency position fits that a little better than being in a Prodco is all I was trying to say. Like,
yes,
it fits that dissemination widely.
Well,
those are we're getting to our time here. I try to keep these because I could do this all day, but I know you got like a company run with a lot of employees that I didn't even realize. I thought it was just like 3 of you guys sitting around, so I figured you had all day. But thank you so much. Honestly, any last thoughts or anything for folks? Or hey kids, keep your eyes on this. Anything like that?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I got into this deal because I love making, and I love especially kind of the found object art, like editing, and so I was passionate about it, obsessive even, and learned and then was able to make a living doing that because of that fire, and I think those out of I've hired a lot of people, and it's like, and the people with that fire, those are the ones that go on to be really successful. There's a lot of people that say, yeah, I think I want to be a creative director, and but they've never had their own journal. They've never made their own, written or create, or so it's like, yeah, that sounds great, but it's not, if you don't love it, it's not really worth all the and you're not going to be great at it, and then people that are great at it can make a decent living, ideally, so
go ahead. Any regrets for making this jump? Like, oh man, because I'll tell you, when we kind of dabbled in it, I said, God, I kind of liked it when we were just the guys that walked in with the big camera and sat down and walked back out and said, good luck with that, folks.
Certainly, yeah, I know. It seems like it was simpler,
right?
Back then. It's just, but being a small business owner is tough no matter what.
Yeah.
But I love it and I enjoy it, and the people and all the different puzzles to figure out. I just, I love the whole thing. But no real regrets. I guess it was simpler, but yeah, I mean, it was also, there was so much price pressure with the production thing. It's like, if you're either you can compete on the price, you know what I mean? And everybody's like, oh, they could do it, for lower than the other guy. And it's like, and I didn't want to do that. Or you got to be the absolute best at whatever, 3D or
right.
And
thing.
Yeah. And I liked the whole storytelling part and the whole, like, what's the big idea? So we were able to, and again, like I said earlier, it's like, where's the value? What's the value that we can bring? And it's the thinking. And so, so that was a big motivation. And yeah, and I love it. I love the whole thing. So
cool.
Trying to wind it up here with some nugget of wisdom. Here it is. This is it. This is it.
He's reading this off the wall in his bathroom right now. I know he is.
That's right. Yeah. Stall number 2. The left lane is for passing only. There you go.
All right. I love it. All right, Alan. Well, thank you very, very much for joining our show. We really appreciate it. And we hope you have a great rest of the week and a great 2022. The masks are off. We're all free and dancing around, and look forward to seeing some great creative from you and your team. So appreciate it very much.
Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for making the show. When you had reached out, I was like, oh, let me check out the show, and then dove in and listened to some stuff, and it's really cool. It's really great. There's not a lot of books or information out there where small business owners in this category can learn some stuff, but this show is one of them. So thanks for making it.
I can tell you that this one will be highly listened to because people are just looking for places to go with their, with their production business. And this is obviously something a lot of people think about, but it's a tough gig. So, all right. Well, thanks very much. People, remember to try out our new free budget budget module at videopipeline.io. And until then, we will see you next week. Thanks very much, and bye-bye.